welcome again. This is Dr. Evans returning safely to you today to talk to you again about grammar.
How far is she?
Now, don't you start. Today, I'd like to talk about a few different topics, such as descriptive phrases like adjectives and adverbs.
Speaking of descriptions, I've never seen you run so quick and melee.
Well, that heroin experience is fresh in my mind. I'm glad you can help me with the common errors and the difference between the two. While this isn't always the case, an adjective can become an adverb by adding an ly to the end. And while adjectives describe nouns, such as persons, places, or things, adverbs will describe verbs, like I ran quickly.
If and that's true, how far come we would not say that the merc fella seems scarily?
That's because, despite following the verb, scary describes that thing, not the seeming. Adjectives typically answers the question which, what kind, how many, as well as how something may feel, taste, smell, sound, or looks, or even seems. Adverbs will typically answer the questions how, why, where, or when. And while most adverbs have an ly ending, not all of them will. And as much as I would love to continue, we should talk about appositive phrases.
What are they again?
Well, an appositive phrase is a noun or pronoun, often along with an adjective or two, that further explains or identifies the subject of the sentence, depending on whether it's essential to the understanding of the sentence. It is isolated from the rest of the sentence by commas.
You mean like Robert, the broad specimen of wool, stands before ye?
As long as you put commas after Robert and after wool, as that phrase is non-essential. While we are on the punctuation, we should talk about independent and dependent clauses.
Codependent. You mean like your kinship with me?
If anything, you need me. Independent clauses are phrases that contain all parts of a sentence and can stand alone as a complete thought without needing any additional context. There are four ways to deal with multiple independent clauses. One, you can leave them as two separate sentences separated by a period. Two, you can separate them with a comma and a conjunction, such as and, or, yet, or but.
Speaking of large butts,
Don't you start now.
bit I cannot lie.
Three, you can separate them with a semicolon. A semicolon looks like a cross between a comma and a colon and is essentially the punctuation version of the word and.
I see. You get to blather on about butts, but not me.
What are you talking about?
Now you're blathering on about colons.
Wrong type of colon. You're exasperating. Finally, four, you can connect the two clauses with an independent marker word that is preceded with a semicolon and followed by a comma.
What are the marker phrases?
Phrases like however, furthermore, moreover, nevertheless, and therefore are examples of marker phrases.
What about but for?
What's a but for?
For pooping, you daft Egypt. And he says he's a teacher.
I walked into that one. No more nonsense out of you. Come on, we're trying to teach grammar here. Dependent clauses may or may not have all the parts of a sentence, but they do not contain a complete thought. and so they must be connected to an independent clause. However, by using dependent marker phrases, you can turn an independent phrase into a dependent phrase, like when, although, because, since, if, unless, until, and while, just to name a few of these dependent marker phrases.
While ye were blathering on,
While I was talking, what? Finish your thought.
sin it annoys ye,
Huh? What?
till ye get the bit.
You're turning independent phrases into dependent phrases by adding that marker phrase.
Righto.
When you are connecting a dependent phrase to an independent, punctuation can be tricky. If your dependent phrase comes first, you follow it with a comma. But if the independent phrase comes first, there's no need for a comma.
That's boring. You're boring everybody. Quit boring everybody.
Okay, wise guy. How about you finish up with the 8 common punctuation patterns?
Well, the foremost is just an independent phrase followed by a period.
Like MacSockman has been extra annoying tonight. Period.
The second is twa independent phrases bound by a comma and a conjunction. Duck is annoying too, comma, and he has been pushing his luck far too much recently. The third is twa independent phrases bound by a semicolon.
As in, Robert better sleep with one eye open, semicolon, he's going to get it now.
Sure. The fourth is twa independent phrases bound by a semicolon, a phrase marker, and a comma. Such as, Duck can think he's a tough jobby, semicolon. However, comma, he does not ken what he's messing with. Batch 5 is a dependent marker for a dependent phrase, followed by a comma, and then the independent phrase.
Like, if I didn't know any better, comma, I think Robert was itching for a fight.
You're right. Batch 6 switches the order of the phrases with na comma, such as, Doc better watch hisself, even he kens what's good for him. The seventh is an independent phrase with a non-essential appositive phrase bound on both sides with commas.
Robert, comma, a sock in need of a few more holes, comma, will get his in the end.
Lastly, an independent phrase with an essential appositive phrase, near commas. To buddy what looks for a rammy often finds yin. Have at ye.
Mm. You saw that all. He attacked me first. I'll need all of you as witnesses. I'll see you in the next video. Assuming I'm not in jail first. I need one of you to bail me out. Looking for that phone call. Now I gotta go bury a body.